Update: am I the a-hole for cutting my child's inheritance? Original story. Backstory: 2 years ago I, 46 female, lost my husband in an accident and I was heartbroken. We had 3 children and I thought we were very happy, until his mistress showed up at my door demanding money to support the child my husband fathered. I didn't believe her, but she was able to prove it with screenshots, messages, etc. The image that I had of my husband was forever tainted, and he left me with the mess. Because of bitterness about the betrayal and how offended I was by the mistress' lack of remorse and entitlement, I told her she wasn't getting a dime and that she shouldn't have slept with a married man. She kept harassing me, and when it wasn't going to work, she went to my husband's family to put pressure on me to give her what she wanted. She even tried to involve my children, leveraging her silence for money. I knew that once I gave her money she would come back, so I told them myself. My husband and I had high-paying jobs, lucrative investments, savings, and I got a sizable amount from the life insurance policy. I consulted a lawyer and while she could prove the affair, it didn't prove paternity, and since my husband wasn't on the birth certificate, nor could she produce that my husband acknowledged the child, she had no case. After my lawyers sent her a strongly worded letter, I didn't hear from her for a while and thought it was over until my oldest Alex, 19 female, came to me and said that she did a DNA test with the mistress behind my back. She said that she did it because she wanted to get this resolved. The child deserved to know who their father was, and get the financial support that they were owed. My husband had a will that stated each of his children were to split an inheritance that they would only get access to when they went to college, and couldn't get full control until the age of 25. When the results came back proving that my husband was indeed the father, the mistress took me to court. It was a long legal battle, but eventually a settlement was made. I sat Alex down and explained to her that her inheritance would be split 50-50 between her and her half-sibling, as part of the settlement agreement. When she asked if my other children had to split theirs, I told Alex no. My husband's will stated that it had to be split, but it didn't say it had to be equally, and until each of the children turned 25, I had full control. Alex was upset, saying that it wasn't fair. I countered saying that it wasn't fair that my other 2 children had to get a lesser share because of my eldest's choices, and if she wanted her full share, they shouldn't have done the DNA test. There's still plenty of money for Alex to finish college, she just won't have much after that, and I do plan on dividing my own estate equally in my own will. All of this, Alex knows, but she is still giving me the cold shoulder. My own siblings think that it wasn't fair and I'm punishing Alex for doing right by her half-sibling, but I don't see it that way. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. First of all, I'm really sorry this happened to you. I wish you the best. I say not the a-hole. It's a messy situation, no doubt. Your husband's will said split between his kids, so split between them it should be. If Alex really cared about the child deserved to know who their father was, and get the financial support that they were owed, then she should have no problem sharing her inheritance. Also, in my opinion, she should have minded her own business and not gone behind your back to make a messy situation worse in the first place. If I were Alex and I was doing this, it shouldn't come as a surprise that her inheritance would be reduced to share with this half-sibling. Not sure why Alex is pulling the whole surprised Pikachu face thing. Not the a-hole. Mostly because Alex was ready to be a knight in shining armor, as long as it wasn't her armor. Exactly this. Alex didn't care about the effects with will have on anyone else until it affected her. Added to add, until it affected only her. I think this is an important distinction to make. Not the a-hole. I've been in Alex's place, except my dad is unfortunately alive, and I could never imagine betraying my mother over my dad, who can't keep it in his pants. Well, there is another child to consider here as well. It's not like Alex is taking dad's side against mom. She's just trying to help out the kid, and that's not in itself a bad thing to do. Little update from the poster. Thank you to everyone's responses. Even the ones calling me you're the a-hole, but based on a few frequent questions, comments and/or themes, I feel like I need to clarify some things. 1. Alex is my daughter, not my son. When I first started writing this, I wanted to leave gender out of it, in case it influenced people's judgment, but then I remembered that Reddit tends to prefer that age and gender get mentioned, so I added 19 female at the last minute. Hope that clears it up a little. 2. My other 2 children are Junior, 17 male, and Sam, 14 female. The half-sibling is now 5. 3. When my husband drafted the will, 10 years ago, he initially named just our children, But a friend of ours had an oops baby, so he changed it to be just his children, in case we had another one. At least that's what he told me. 4. After the mistress threatened to tell my children and I decided to tell them. I sat them all down and explained the situation. They were understandably devastated and asked if they really had another sibling. I told them that I didn't know and that if the mistress could prove it, she might get some money. I told them that if they wanted to know if they had a sibling or not, we could find out. But I made sure that they understood that their inheritance could be affected, and other people might come out claiming the same thing and get more money. Initially all of my children said that they didn't want to have to deal with that, and so I did everything that I could to protect them, but I guess Alex had a change of heart. 5. Until the DNA test, I had no reason to believe that my husband's mistress was telling the truth and acted accordingly. I kept following my lawyer's advice, and if she wanted the money, the burden of proof was on her. 6. While some of you might think I'm the a-hole, please understand that my decision wasn't spiteful. If I really wanted to punish Alex, I would just tell her she wasn't getting any more money, since she already used some of it for her first year of college, so the guidelines of the will were technically already met. I still plan on leaving them an equal share of inheritance from my estate too. And now for the full update. Thank you so much for so many responses, even the ones who didn't 100% agree with me, because it did give me perspective. I also wanted to give an update and answer some questions to anyone who was curious, so here it goes. Since I told Alex what would be happening, she told her siblings and the house has been pretty tense. To try and make peace, I spoke to each of my kids for a one-on-one, and as a group to figure out what to do next. I spoke to Alex first, and some interesting information was revealed that I'm very angry about. Apparently, the mistress created a fake profile account and manipulated my daughter into befriending her. After gaining my daughter's trust, she pretended that she was in a similar situation as her and said that a DNA test proved that there wasn't any paternity. When Alex went behind our backs, she thought that it would prove the mistress was trying to scam us. My son, Junior, 17 mil, is furious that Alex went behind our backs and doesn't care why she did it, and blames her for them being stuck with a half-sibling he doesn't want. My daughter Sam, 14 female, said she wishes she never knew the truth and is deeply upset. I asked my children that since they now know the truth, would they want a relationship with their half-sibling. Junior, clearly, wants nothing to do with the child, and says that Alex should feel lucky he still considered her a sister. Sam says she doesn't want to, and I feel it's because she's in denial and wants to live life pretending that her father was perfect. Alex admits that she is curious, but never wants to see or hear from the mistress ever again, so she doesn't think a meeting will ever be possible. I proposed family therapy, and while my girls are open to it, my son says that therapy is only for people who have something broken in them and that's he's not broken, is now happy that his father is dead and wants to change his last name as soon as he turns 18. I'm not going to force him, but I do hope he changes his mind one day. Now for the top comments. Wow, I missed the original post, just read it also. It's so unfortunate that all of this has tainted for you all forever, the memories of your husband and their father. What a difficult situation to be faced on top of his death, which you were all just likely feeling you have somewhat worked out what your new normal is, and now this. I'm sure your son is partly misplacing his anger on Alex, however, I do believe she should have told you what she was doing. Even if, as she says now, she was trying to expose a scam, she should have suggested/disclosed that angle to you before submitting presumably her DNA for comparison. They may never want a relationship with this child, and that seems very normal/rational. I really would have preferred Alex told me she changed her mind before doing the DNA test, because I probably could have saved myself money in legal fees. Would your husband have financially supported this kid? Voluntarily? I honestly don't know. Personally, I wouldn't hand a single penny over to the mistress. What did she expect was gonna happen when she knowingly messed with a married man? Her and your husband are the biggest a-holes of this story. I don't mean to be rude, but your daughter is an a-hole for going behind your back about it. I get that the mistress had a hand in it, but it still does not excuse the fact she betrayed y'all's trust. I hope everything works out for you and your kiddos OP. She was suing, and after the DNA test proved paternity, she was going to get something eventually. I could have fought her over this in court for years, but I was getting exhausted and just did the settlement to make her go away. Are you required to give the kid half of a third? I would figure 10% would be enough if the will didn't specify an even split unless the judge ruled it had to be more. We settled out of court and I gave the mistress a part of the life insurance policy and half of Alex's share, in exchange that she can never sue the estate, me or my children ever again. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for going to my friend's wedding, even though her mom and dad, who is the father of my child, will be there? When I was 19, I met a guy in his 40s at university. He told me he was married and had 3 kids, but his wife was dead, so he wanted to keep us secret until the kids were ready to hear about us. When we'd been together for 18 months, I found out I was pregnant. He freaked out, and admitted his wife was not actually dead. Needless to say, we broke up. Then began a custody battle. And when I say battle, I mean battle, as his wife said he could only keep the kid if they got full custody and I got nothing, because she didn't want to deal with me for 18 years. After a lot of BS from the wife, they only got visitation every 2 weeks. Because of her all-or-nothing mentality, on finding out that her actions had resulted in visitation only, they decided to not be involved at all beyond child support. During the custody case, I met his other kids. His sons both hated me, but his daughter, Kate, who was 6 months younger than me, felt that her dad was the only one who should get in trouble here. Kate wanted a relationship with her youngest brother, who was still an infant and who I now had full custody of. I agreed to letting her see her brother, and we actually became pretty good friends, as we were a similar age, with similar interests, and she spent a lot of time with the baby. A few years ago, I introduced Kate to a friend of mine, and now they're getting married. My son and I are still a touchy subject with Kate's parents, and Kate says her mom regularly complains about the child support. However, Kate wants her little brother at her wedding, and she and the groom both want me there. The wedding isn't until next summer, and the invites haven't even gone out yet, but she sorted out her guest list and me and my son, who is now 6, are both on it. I've already said we'll be there. Kate's parents have seen the guest list. Her mother has messaged me, asking me to not attend. I've refused, and she called me unreasonable and said I messed up her family 6 years ago. She doesn't want any drama or BS, like my son recognizing her husband as his father, which he will be able to do, as he's seen pictures and knows that Kate is his half-sister, or the affair being made known to their wider family. She also doesn't like my friendship with Kate, and has said that she doesn't want to see my face at Kate's wedding as I've humiliated her enough. My point of view is that Kate has asked me to be there. I'm friends with Kate and her soon-to-be husband, and my son is already excited to go, plus it's not like I'm going to take the microphone and go, "Attention. My 6-year-old is the bastard child of the bride's father." Cheers to the bride and groom. Plus, I don't have a problem with them being there, despite the stunts the wife pulled when we were sorting custody, so if they're the ones putting their foot down, I feel they should be the ones to not go. I talked to my roommate about it, and the roommate said that while she's a witch, I did bet her husband, and I'd be bringing his child to the wedding. Am I the a-hole for still wanting to go, despite Kate's mother telling me not to? Not the a-hole. Your roommate is off base by saying you F her husband. He told you his wife was dead, and you didn't learn she wasn't until you got pregnant. Only you can decide if it's worth attending, but the wife is seriously misplacing her anger that should be directed at her husband for being a cheater. Yes. I hate when people blame the other women who didn't even know she was the other woman. It's not like she intentionally wrecked a home. Why is the bride's mother so keen on defending and standing by a man who, A, cheated on her, and B, claimed she was dead? Why are the brothers standing by a man who did that to their mother, and hating a woman who thought she was banging a widower? You screwed a widower, not a husband. You thought the wife was dead because he's a liar. None of this is your fault. Go to the wedding and have a great time with your son and your friends. Everyone else can suck an egg. Not the a-hole. Perfectly statements. His lies and the wife's lack of respect for herself do not constitute a good enough reason for OP not to attend. If you don't take your butt to that wedding, and screw both the husband and the wife, that a-hole knew what he was doing, and has the one that messed up. His daughter is right, he should be in trouble, not you. Tell them to kick rocks and blow bubbles. At the end of the day you would be hurting the bride and groom who are your friends. If the wedding is ruined, it'll be due to them being a-holes. You better take your cute butt to the wedding, support your friends, and allow karma to take over. If his family finds out he's a cheater, he deserves it. And before I forget, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. The real a-hole here is Kate's dad, with his wife in second place for taking out her totally justifiable anger about her husband's infidelity on you. I'd talk to Kate. I know you don't want to cause issues with her pre-wedding, but it'd be worse if nobody said anything and she had no idea that conflict was brewing on her big day. What if her mom caused a scene? Tell her that you are excited to come and bring your son, But let her know that her mom is upset about this so that she's prepared for any drama. The priority is to make sure she's happy at her wedding, not to cater to her cheating dad. You're a good mom and a good friend. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. Turn the notification on to get updated on my latest posts. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.